Welcome to the O'Connor Elder Law channel. I'm your host, Melissa O'Connor. I'm a Florida-based elder law attorney who practices estate planning, focusing on long-term care needs, largely referred to as Medicaid planning, and I do probate, and I do it well. Today I wanted to share with you the 10 signs of Alzheimer's disease and dementia that has been put out by the Alzheimer's Association. I volunteer for the Broward County Walk to End Alzheimer's. I'm on their committee, and I also serve as a community educator for the Alzheimer's Association. And so many of my clients have early stage dementia or Alzheimer's. Some of them have the formal diagnosis. Some of them, their families believe that they are losing some of their capabilities, and so they bring their loved one in, and we put in place some protections, even though they're seeking medical treatment but have yet to actually been provided a diagnosis. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is just the 10 signs. So that way, if you think that you might be suffering some memory problems or are concerned that you may have the early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, or if you have a loved one that you're just concerned about, I thought I would just jump into what some of the 10 signs are. Of course, not everybody's going to exhibit all these things, but at least you have an idea so you can reach out to your medical provider and start the necessary conversations. And the first sign is memory loss that disrupts daily life. So not just your average forgetfulness, but memory loss where you're not able to ever recall what it was, that person's name, or what the story that you were talking about. It just never comes back to you during that day, maybe even to the next day. You still don't have a recollection as to what that thought was and where you were going with it. Number 2 is challenges in planning or solving problems. That's a sign. Sometimes you might have a person, a loved one, who was always the party planner, misorganization, or the guy who could always figure out the problem and the puzzle and solve things. And now they struggle with that. They struggle being organized. They struggle with just executing plans and that sort of thing, which might not be like them. So that could be a sign. Number 3 is difficulty completing familiar tasks. So if you or your loved one is a avid crocheter, and now they can't remember a certain type of stitch or a certain type of loop, or if you your loved one is a fisherman, and now throwing that cast net is just awkward, and they can't seem to they forgot how do they throw their cast net. Those sorts of things could be a sign. Confusion with time or place. That if not just your average, I lost track of time and wow, it's already 3 o'clock. I thought it was only 11. No, it might be more disoriented where they don't know exactly. They lose track of days. They lose track of where they're at. They might realize, how did I even get here? I don't even remember coming to church, but oh, it's nice to see you. That sort of confusion. The 5th is trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. So if you notice that if you go to those large malls or shopping centers and many people say, oh, let's just check out the map so we can quickly find where our department store is, your loved one or you might find that those maps are very confusing and you do not understand them, and you struggle with things like that. So that's again something that they may have never really struggled with, reading maps, and now reading maps becomes a problem. 6 is new problems with words or speaking or writing. So if you've always had a person that was like Miss Talkative, Miss Outgoing, or Mr. Center of Attention, and now they struggle to find their words, they struggle to write down their thoughts, that is a sign. Number 7 is misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace your steps. We all misplace things. Every single one of us forgets where we put our keys, doesn't remember where we put our hat, can't find our shoes. But when you can't retrace your steps to go back to find them, and now these things are lost forever, or at least until somebody else finds them or you magically run into them, that's a sign. 8 is decreased or poor judgment. You hear of people as they age getting taken advantage of financially by scammers. That could be a sign. Also, somebody who was always very meticulous and frugal with their money, now all of a sudden making out big spends, that could be a sign that there's some changes and shifts in their mind, and it could be a sign. Number 9 is withdrawal from work or social activities. As we've gone through the other 8, you can imagine that somebody who's noticing some of these signs in their life might want to withdraw from social engagement. And so that could be a sign where they just decide, I've been tripping up my words and I can't remember how I get to places, and I just don't want anybody to know that I'm having some problems. So then they just draw back. And 10 is changes in personality. So if you see that somebody is becoming more irritable, easily frustrated, that's a sign, because really what they've been dealing with is they've been dealing with all these other issues about losing track of their belongings, getting confused, all these other things that become very scary, and it can cause anxiety and it can cause frustration. You can also see a person who might have been very independent and strong-willed and more kind of like bullheaded, become more docile and just go with the flow. And that might also be a change in personality to be of concern, because their response to being confused and seeing these signs might be, let me just lay back and let other people take care of me. So that could be a sign too. So with this, I just wanted to share with you the 10 signs of Alzheimer's or dementia. So that way you or your loved one can be on the lookout to be able to start conversations and to seek out medical care as soon as possible, because there are things that we can do for people with this disease, and the earlier you have a diagnosis, the more promising it is for care for you, and the more opportunities you have to put in place a plan that will address your disease as you desire to have it addressed. So again, I thank you so much, and I encourage you to reach out to the Alzheimer's Association for help if this would be of service to you, as they have many support groups for caregivers and people living with the disease. They're just an abundant resource. Again, if this information has been helpful, I ask that you like and share with others. Thank you for joining me.